You're listening to WRDB, Western Reserve Digital Broadcasting, Youngstown, Warren, Salem, and around the world.
Progressive presents the Sports Flash on Western Reserve Radio.
Christian Yelich hit an RBI single, leading the Brewers past the Reds 3-2. Milwaukee with a game-and-a-half lead over Cincinnati atop the NL Central. The Royals beat the Guardians 5-3. Salvador Perez hit a two-run homer in the sixth. The Pirates beat the Padres 8-4 on Monday. Carlos Santana hit a pair of two-run home runs. Browns training camp is underway. Quarterback Deshaun Watson hoping to put his troubles behind him.
I mean, the whole situation changed me. In a situation where it's just kind of I had to lock in on myself. Channel and really know who I'm, surrounding myself with, and just really who's going to be there and support me, even when I'm at my lowest point. And, the last 2 years was definitely my lowest point in my life, but, that's part of life.
For lightning fast updates, download the Score app. It's free and one of North America's most popular sports apps. That's the Sports Flash. Chuck Sanders, Western Reserve Radio.
At Taco Bell, we like to keep mornings simple because before 11 a.m., you're not down for whatever.
No.
You're not interested in trying new things.
No.
You want a breakfast that's toned down and delicious, like the Breakfast Crunch Wrap with fluffy eggs, sausage, melty cheese, and a crispy hash brown in a grilled tortilla.
I want to eat that.
See? You may not be a morning person, but it's morning, and you're a person. Taco Bell breakfast, served until 11 a.m. At participating Taco Bell stores during breakfast hours only while supplies last.
This radio commercial was made to convince you to stop speeding. We can't use siren sound effects on the radio, so we'll use other equally jarring sound effects to get your attention. Like telling you that whether you drive a little over the speed limit or a lot, you can crash just the same. You could hurt yourself, or worse, others.
I'm at the scene of the collision.
And the damage you cause will be beyond repair. See? We didn't have to use crash or siren sounds after all. Speeding catches up with you. Brought to you by NHTSA.
Mill Creek Golf Course has been the Valley's leader for golfing fun since 1928. It features 36 challenging holes designed by the legendary Donald Ross and was voted a top 30 municipal facility by Golf Week in 2012. The Mill Creek Golf Shop is a certified Callaway Golf custom fitting center and it is stocked with your favorite golf apparel and accessories. Mill Creek Golf Course is now booking tee times for this year's golf season. Please call us at 330-740-7112 or online at millcreekmetroparks.org.
In the small town of Elmira, New York, a boy was born into an all-American family. The odds of him achieving his dream in the fashion industry? 1 in 23 million. The odds of having a child diagnosed with autism? 1 in 68. I am Tommy Hilfiger, and my family is affected by autism. Learn more at autismspeaks.org/signs. Brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
This is Everett Fitzhugh, the radio voice of the NHL Seattle Kraken, and you're listening to the home of the Youngstown Phantoms, Western Reserve Radio.
Golf in the Mahoning Valley starts at Mill Creek Golf Course. Come out to the 36 beautiful hole design course by Donald Ross, and golf lessons are available by calling the team shop at 330-740-7112. Don't forget about family fun nights on Friday and Saturday evenings, a family of 4 with cart for only $25. Or visit the Wick Recreation Area and the lighted Par 3 course. Book your tee time today at 330-740-7112 or online at millcreekmetroparks.org.
Located in Applewood Estates in Boardman Township, the Applewood Swim and Tennis Club offers a pleasant family environment. Choose a membership that meets your needs and enjoy a relaxing venue that includes not only swimming for the family, but also youth activities such as competitive swimming, tennis, and more. Enjoy the friendly atmosphere all summer long with the staff and members of the Applewood Swim and Tennis Club. For more information, go to applewoodswimandtennis.com or call 330-953-2833.
During the fall and winter, grilling season never ends, and Gessler Propane is your local supplier that makes sure you get your hard-earned money's worth. Why go to gas exchanges to pay higher prices for tanks not filled to capacity? Gessler Propane makes sure you're prepared for year-round grilling with 100% filled tanks at a reasonable cost. See Bob Monday through Friday, 10 to 4, and Saturday, 9 to 3 at Gessler Propane, 702 Youngstown Poland Road, Struthers, or call 330-755-9119. Gessler Propane. They got gas.
Meet Josh.
Hi, everybody.
Josh is a high school basketball player, solid shooter, great teammate.
Hey, don't forget my tenacious D.
And he's my son.
Oh.
So, what does Josh do to be the best basketball player he can be?
I play tennis.
Studies show that student athletes here in Ohio who play more than one high school sport are more likely to excel. Tennis does more than improve Josh's conditioning. It gives him a fresh competitive outlet, reduces the risk of injury by cross-training, and introduces him to different coaching techniques and new friends.
Don't get me wrong, hoops are my first love. Tennis just gives me a little break.
So when the new season begins, Josh isn't burned out.
It is time for another episode of By All Means right here on Western Reserve Radio Season 4, Episode 24, 142 so far overall, presented by our friends at Mill Creek Golf Course. Visit millcreekmetroparks.org for more information. Find us on Facebook, Western Reserve Radio, on Twitter at WR_radio. Download the Live 365 app or tune in or go to westernreserveradio.com, all part of the iMeda1 network. 2 weeks ago, we started our coaches' camps as we were able to talk to Coach Perry from Niles, Coach Arnold from Warren Harding. And last week, we talked to the head coach of the Springfield Tigers, Sean Guerrero. And we're going to keep that going today as we are joined on the phone by fourth-year head coach TJ Parker of the Austintown Fitch Falcons. Coach, how are you today?
I'm doing well. How are you guys?
Appreciate you coming on with us for a few minutes. And I got to ask, every time I come to your beautiful stadium, it seems like you're always making improvements. So new bleachers, new press box for this year. How are they looking?
You know what? It's a change. It's definitely a change. They're looking great. Hively Construction did a wonderful job. Did a great job, honestly, of I couldn't believe the weather definitely cooperated, but they did a good job of, getting those things up fast. And they've just put, if you come to our stadium, you'll always see the graduation year on the stands. And they did a good job of kind of honoring our tradition. And they put the stickers up for this year's graduation year. So that was a nice final touch that they did. But the project is ongoing and there's a lot more to do. So the stands to this point, everything we've seen done looks amazing.
As we dive in and get ever closer to the start of the season, Coach, who are your scrimmages against and where are they being played?
We'll go next Friday. We'll head to Menor, and it's a 3-way between Menor and Kenston. And then the following week, that Thursday, we'll be hosting Walsh Jesuit.
So let's look about the season as a whole before we dive specifically into your team. And I'm asking every coach I talk to in this series about this. Coach, does the season start too soon and does it last too long?
Oh man, that's a great question. In terms of the season lasting too long, for us, for a program like us at our level, when you're talking about the upper divisions, it doesn't seem like we ever stop. You get a break here and there. Whether it's lifting, on the field training, in the gym training, game week, all of that, it doesn't feel like it ends at our level. So I don't really notice in terms of the season being too long. I will say this, coming from the college ranks, you kind of felt the importance of a bye week for so many reasons that I can go over. And there's that fine line balance in high school of the bye week and what it can mean to a program. And then also, like this year, everybody grows up, you have 10 games. You think of high school football, it's a 10-game season. We've done everything we can to try to find a 10th game for this week 7, and we cannot get anyone to bite. So I feel there's a part of me in my heart that feels, 10 games are only guaranteed. That's all we're ever guaranteed. You can have injuries, you can have things that happen that can change the trajectory of your season. And I want to give these kids every opportunity to put something on tape, and shorting them a game. That could be the game this guy puts a big play, that maybe the first highlight on his tape that gets him noticed by a college that earns him a scholarship. So that part, it kind of eats at me inside. But like I said, coming from college where bye weeks were so important to a season because you go so hard and so long, and with some of these schedules and tough conference play, the season becomes a meat grinder. And that break where you can give the kids some downtime, you could take off a hit, and you can kind of escape the rat race of the season. And all of that, I think every other season sport has that besides football. When you look at basketball, there's winter break. They practice, but they're off school. There's some dead time there. When you go to spring and track, again, it's spring break. They're off school. The season gets started so late in track. With football, when it starts, it doesn't end.
And maybe not too long, or is it over the time frame from getting ready for the season to 7-on-7s to scrimmages to hopefully a 16-game season? Is it difficult to keep healthy for that much time frame?
Yes, and that's why I wish like the Ohio High School Athletic Association would come down with clear rules where the coaches are involved. There definitely seems to be a disconnect between what they want and what coaches want. And I think if you got a bunch of coaches in the room with them, we can come to an agreement. All this is 16 games too much. Maybe not. But if you mandated everyone has a bye week, and that was mandated to where one team or one organization, okay, I'm taking this stance to it, and the other side is taking this stance to it. And then you're fighting between people. There's all this gray area involved in a lot of things that they're doing, where you're dividing programs and dividing coaches on, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And it makes things tough to ever come together and really focus on what's best for the kids. And in the end, that's why we're all doing it.
Let's jump in on your team, Coach. You've got skill guys in your backfield like in Vaughn and Williams coming back this year. Is it a little comforting knowing at those key positions you've got guys coming back with experience?
Yeah, it's two positions. We need it. We've been blessed the past since I've been here to have at those positions, just a plethora of talent. When we look at both of those positions this year, I would say depth-wise, it's probably the slimmest we've ever had in my tenure here. But we have two really, really good guys who are holding up the traditions of what it means to be an Austin Fitch quarterback, and then what it means to be a running back here also. So very pleased with, how those two have grown throughout the program. I think both have waited their turn and learned a lot through the years. So we're very, very excited about what both of those two kids can accomplish this year.
With a experienced starter at quarterback back, does that give you the opportunity to maybe expand or open up the playbook a little more this year?
Yeah, I think a lot of questions have been asked like that, in terms of Deshaun. Last year, I think it was a balance of 50-50 in terms of he leaned on our staff a lot to, get the play. Where would you like me to go with it? And then he ad-libbed a little bit in terms of what he could do. Deshaun's a playmaker, but I think he went into last year taking over the offense, which is a lot on his shoulders. And as he's going out there, I think it's 50-50 in terms of I don't want to mess up and I want to make a play. And now that he's had a year in the system and a year older, his focus now every single time he's out there is I want to make the right play. And when the opportunity comes to make a play, I'm going to make it. So I think that comfortability, he knows what he wants to do with the ball. He knows where, I guess, he's an extension of our staff, what we would like him to do with the ball. So that is exciting. So when you say open things up, yes, but I think he'll just have a lot more input in what we're doing on a drive-to-drive basis.
Coach Parker on the phone with us from the Austintown Fitch Falcons. And Coach, you have several student athletes that have verbally committed before the season starts. Is that easier on them? I don't want to say to get that out of the way, but it is where you know where you're going to be after your high school season is over. And then you can just focus on, hopefully a 16-week season.
Yeah, I encourage all of my athletes who are put in those positions, which most of the time is a Division I scholarship, to kind of commit and lock in their position prior to the season. There's many reasons for that, and the number one being injury. A lot of these schools will honor a scholarship if someone were to get injured throughout the season. They want that spot filled. They want to know they have someone coming in that class in that position. So I think it's a good thing prior to the season to find a home and commit there. And based on play, a lot of things change throughout the season from both sides. But as a coach, yes, it takes a lot off our plate because we have a lot of kids that have aspirations at playing at the next level. And at some point, you don't want to see them pressing and feeling like if they didn't make a play or they did make a play, it could waver on how they're being looked or if a coach is at the game, all of that. I want our kids just playing free, playing for each other, and just having fun with the game because the game is supposed to be fun.
How much do you think it helps the rest of the program when, and we'll say any Division I school comes to watch your team, whether it be a practice or on game day, because it gives someone they may not have been specifically coming to your game or practice to see an opportunity to be in front of those type of coaches?
Yeah, I think that the number one thing you see, if you're a guy, if you're a Division I athlete, I guess the term now that a lot of people are using if you're a dude, people are going to find you. You're going to stick out. These coaches will find you. But to answer your question, when you have a coach that shows up at your practice, other guys may stick out to them. And a lot of the times people think like, oh, it's this senior or this guy. Usually they've moved on classes. It's targeting those younger guys that they see, that they like, that makes them come back and say, I like what this kid is as a freshman or a sophomore or a junior. I'm going to come back to watch him the following year. So then it just becomes a revolving door of these coaches coming back for the next line of athletes or crops that you have coming up that they can follow and watch throughout. And I think the good thing is the earlier you get these kids on college radars, the better opportunities for him, the more doors open for these guys.
Coach, offense always seems to get a lot of headlines, and you've got a lot of experience back there, but you also have a lot of experience and a lot of leaders back on the defensive side of the ball as well.
Yeah, this is the most I want to say most veteran group we've returned, most experienced group returning that we've ever had on the defensive side of the ball. We have, basically in our secondary between Davion Pritchard, Dan Evans, and Deshaun Vaughn, those guys have started a combined 10 seasons together. Dan being a 4-year starter and Davion and Deshaun being 3-year starters. That's something that you can really hang your hat on. And then a lot of the guys in the box played as sophomores in roles, and then as juniors played a lot for us. And now they're back again for their senior year. So, we do want to put out a very, very good product on defense this year. I think the unit is taking pride in, I think they're kind of fed up of when you think of Austintown Fitch, thinking of us as an offensive juggernaut. They want the recognition. They want to be, when you think of Austintown Fitch, you start to think of a defensive team, and they've prided themselves on that in the offseason.
Coach, you look up and down your schedule, even your scrimmages, and you've really loaded up. But a couple of interesting names on this schedule, games we're going to be in Austintown on Western Reserve Radio and 1240 WBBW, St. Ignatius and Massillon. Boy, those names just bring some cachet with them, and those are matchups that are going to turn heads across the state.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. And, we try to, preach that to our kids. It's, every day we have an opportunity to get better or to get worse. And, I think what you always have to look at is Northeastern Ohio, and football in Northeastern Ohio is very, very special. So when you're talking about these teams, they're not only some of the best teams in the state, they're some of the most known programs in the country. So we don't have days where we can take steps back. If we're going to compete versus the programs like the ones that are on our schedule, every day has to be a day where we're moving forward. And I think that puts a lot of pressure on the kids. It demands more from them, but they're excited about the challenge, and I know they want to put their best foot forward in those games. And, we're a team that likes the bright lights and likes the big stage. And, you have to recognize that when you come and you be a part of the Austintown Fitch program, that you're going to play in those games. You demand those games, and you want to be at your best in those games. So that's, we look forward to the games, but we also, Massillon has got us the past 3 years. So it's a game that we want to get over and win. I think that's what our focus is somehow trying to win that game and figuring out what we need to do to win that game. And, St. Ignatius is going to be a different but the same type of animal.
Coach, we are up against the break. As always, thank you for your time. We'll talk to you closer to the regular season, and we'll be right back here on By All Means.
Golf in the Mahoning Valley starts at Mill Creek Golf Course. Mill Creek Golf Course is the host venue for the AJGA PGA Hope Program, 8 high school teams, and 2 collegiate teams. Mill Creek Golf Course is your Callaway certified golf club fitting facility. It was named the PGA of America's National Merchandiser of the Year for a public facility 2022. Book your tee time at 330-740-7112 or online at millcreekmetroparks.org.
Accidents happen. That's why you need Repair That Glass. Specializing in windshield replacement and all other auto glass, we offer a full range of automotive glass repairs. Our technicians can do everything from minor chip repair to a complete replacement. Your windows don't go up or down, they can fix that too, along with custom glass work and antiques. Repair That Glass is a family-run business for over 40 years. Repair That Glass. Call for your appointment now at 330-534-3192.
It may be hard to believe, but people just like you are already saving money. FeedThePig.org makes it easy. Their simple savings plan teaches you how to start saving without going overboard, so you don't need to start foraging wild berries.
I was skeptical, but these are actually pretty good.
You don't need to sell your soul to the devil.
$15 is the best I can do.
You just need FeedThePig.org. Don't get left behind. Get tips and tools at FeedThePig.org. Brought to you by the American Institute of CPAs and the Ad Council.
Welcome to Calvin's Barbershop.
You all gotta see this.
I don't even want to know what you're looking at on that phone.
Well, you should. I was learning about the dangers of high blood pressure and that we need to get ours checked regularly. High blood pressure can increase the risk of heart attack or stroke, but this text program can help keep it at a healthy range. Just text Barbershop to 97779 to sign up.
I'll get right on it as soon as I'm done with this baby panda video.
Text Barbershop to 97779. A message from the American Heart Association and the Ad Council.
By All Means continues from the Palatial Gessler Propane Studios here in Struthers, and we thank you for joining us here on By All Means. Thank you to Coach Parker from the Austintown Fitch Falcons, the fourth-year head coach, for joining us. We will have the head coach of the Valley Christian Eagles coming up here in just a few minutes. And we mentioned we will have a couple of Austintown Fitch games this year when they play St. Ignatius and when they play Massillon. If you're looking to mark those on your calendar, that is September 8th, St. Ignatius at Austintown Fitch, and October 6th, Massillon at Austintown Fitch. Hear them right here on Western Reserve Radio and our broadcast partner, Sports Radio 1240. What is trending? Some high school football news for you. The OHSAA announced earlier this week that playoff games in weeks 11 through 15 through the state semifinals will be played only on Friday nights this fall. In 2022, the first 2 rounds were played on Friday night, with the following 3 rounds split between Friday and Saturday nights. The OSA sent out a release to athletic directors letting them know postseason games in League 11 and 12 will be played with the higher-seeded team at home. If the host site does not have lights, the OSA says they will move the game to Saturday if possible. The next 3 rounds will include the regional semifinals, regional final, and state semifinals, all played at neutral sites on Fridays. The state championship game schedule at this point looks like this. Divisions 1, 2, 3, and 6 will be played on Friday, with one of those 4 that I mentioned previously being moved to Thursday. And then the rest of the championship games, Divisions 4, 5, and 7, will be played on Saturday. Wouldn't it be fantastic if we would have 3 teams playing for state championships again in the 2023 season? It was an experience like no other for us here at Western Reserve Radio to bring you consecutive state championship games with South Range and Canfield last year. And a highlight of a lot of the great things we've done here at Western Reserve Radio. And that was just adding to the list of things that we have done and continue to do here on Western Reserve Radio 2, and a City View Sportscast, all part of the iMeda1 network. Browns made an announcement earlier this week. This one not good. Wide receiver Marquise Goodwin will miss the start of training camp, which is already underway, with blood clots in his legs and lungs. He was placed on the non-football illness list last week, and a release from the team saying Goodwin experienced discomfort in his legs and shortness of breath during OTAs in the spring. A recent medical checkup revealed the blood clots. Goodwin is not sure when he can return to football activities, but plans to remain around the team and in team meetings, offering support as training camp is now underway. What else is going on programming here on Western Reserve Radio? It's Dave Clark and I have been so excited to bring you the Cleveland Cobras games the last 2 weeks. A 32-0 victory 2 weeks ago over the Canton Hurricanes, and 18-0 loss last week to the Cleveland Rams, and one more game left on the regular season. Jim Craven, our owner and lead play-by-play guy covering the Cobras. Jim will be out of the area coming up this weekend. So once again, Dave Clark and I will have the call on the game with our on-site producer, engineer, and fixer of anything else that comes up along the way, Dave Ferris. So we will be with you Saturday, once again, 6:50 airtime from Walsh University, as the Cobras wrap up the regular season, needing a win to assure them of a playoff spot. And the Cobras will be at Walsh University taking on the Canton Hurricanes. The Cobras are 4-3 in a log jam in the middle of the Tri-Point Football League. The Canton Hurricanes are 1-6, and that game again, 6:50 airtime, 7 o'clock is the kickoff for the Cobras and the Hurricanes here on Western Reserve Radio. Baseball, Guardians looking to bounce back today after they lost to the Kansas City Royals last night. It will be Aaron Savali and Zach Greinke in tonight's matchup. Savali 3-2. Greinke is 1-10. Wow, the veteran has had a tough start record-wise to this season. And then a day game on Wednesday, as it will be a 1:10 game to wrap up this series against the Royals before Thursday off, and the Guardians heading out to Chicago to take on the White Sox. As far as the Pirates go, they fell to the Padres last night 8-4. They will be back in San Diego tonight for the second of 3. It'll be Rich Hill and the former Pirate Ian Snell matching up. Hill is 7-9, and Snell is 6-8, and a name that has been rumored on whether they may move Ian Snell as the trade deadline looms ever closer. Also a day game on Wednesday for the Pirates at 4:10 as they wrap up their another West Coast road trip, taking on the Padres before having Thursday off and then coming home to take on the Phillies. And it's interesting, and I put this up on my Twitter yesterday. And I want to see what a lot of you have to say about this. We'll talk about it as the next couple weeks go on. There's been a few different analysts in the booth for the Guardians games on Bally Sports the last couple of weeks. Rick Manning has always been the mainstay. We saw Pat Tabler on a previous road trip, and then Chris Jimenez, the former Mahoning Valley Scrapper, who, if I remember right, is still the Scrappers' all-time single-season leader in hit by pitches. I don't know why I always remember that. That's just something that I remember when I used to have to write the media guide. That was always something that we included in there. So, who do you prefer at this point? Is it Chris Jimenez that just worked the game last night? Is it Pat Tabler, or is it Rick Manning? I'll say this. I did very much enjoy Pat Tabler doing the games. I think he did a fantastic job of everything that he did the last couple of games as an analyst. And it was because that position is such a difficult thing to balance, where you want to use your experience as a former player. You want to use your insight of being close to the team. You want to use some stats, but you don't want to overwhelm the audience with just too much information, too many stats, too many numbers, because when you look at Major League Baseball, whether it's the Apple TV games that just overwhelm you at times with numbers and stats on the screen. And it's one of those where it's a balance of, what you think is best compared to what the audience wants. Because if you look over the last few years and they rate the TV crews across Major League Baseball, the Guardians crew doesn't always rate very high. Actually, it rates pretty low and has rated pretty low over the last couple of years. So it's one of those where, are they thinking about making changes? Is this a trial run? I'll be curious to see what happens the rest of the way. I thought Jimenez did okay last night. I was definitely impressed with Pat Tabler, so only time will tell. Time is telling us unbelievably, like we just heard from Coach Parker, scrimmages are right around the corner. The next, not this weekend, but the 2 weekends after that, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, all kinds of scrimmages going on all over the Valley. And you really have to pay attention because scrimmage dates and times aren't always the easiest thing to find. You look on Facebook, you look online, you look at the OHSAA website, and it's one of those where sometimes you can get that information, sometimes you can't. That's why I always try to ask our coaches when we talk to them, when their scrimmages are, who they are against. That way, if you have the ability to go to a scrimmage, depending on what time it is, Niles does some scrimmages in the morning. Hubbard does some scrimmages, right around 6 o'clock for their start. Several other schools do things differently. So it's one of those you kind of have to pay attention to and get and then share that information with the fan base to know when the scrimmages are and if you have the ability to go watch them. Our regular season coverage, we know our schedule for the most part. We know what we're doing. And it's one of those where we're really getting excited about the fact that the season is right around the corner. We've got an all-staff meeting coming up the first Friday in August to get ready to cover 3 different high school football games on a given Friday night. We are going to do our annual high school football preview show here on By All Means. I was thinking about doing it the 15th before the season started, but that's always a busy week going on behind the scenes, and it's a 2-game week for my crew. So we will do our high school football preview show August 8th, and we will do that show from 5 to 7, just like we did last year. And we'll have all our analysts, all our play-by-play guys, all our experts from Western Reserve Radio. And we will let you know what games we're going to be at. We're going to let you know some of the best matchups. And we may hear some of the interviews that I've done the last few weeks with coaches. So, of course, that is coming up in just a couple of weeks. And next Tuesday's show, I've been kind of teasing, and I mentioned our schedule's been out there for a while now, but I mentioned we're going to do something different for our September 1st game with the Farrell Steelers and the Warren Harding Raiders. We will let you know what that something different is next week. So if you've been wondering just exactly what we're going to do, we'll let you know all of that next week. So there is a lot to kind of still work out. And our coverage of high school football will begin on August 17th. Again, that is the earliest start in the history of high school football in the state of Ohio. And every coach is being asked that question. We'll take a break. We'll come back. We'll have one more high school coach to get to. That's next on By All Means.
Golf in the Mahoning Valley starts at Mill Creek Golf Course. Come out to the 36 beautiful hole design course by Donald Ross, and golf lessons are available by calling the team shop at 330-740-7112. Don't forget about family fun nights on Friday and Saturday evenings, a family of 4 with cart for only $25. Or visit the Wick Recreation Area and the lighted Par 3 course. Book your tee time today at 330-740-7112 or online at millcreekmetroparks.org.
During the fall and winter, grilling season never ends, and Gessler Propane is your local supplier that makes sure you get your hard-earned money's worth. Why go to gas exchanges to pay higher prices for tanks not filled to capacity? Gessler Propane makes sure you're prepared for year-round grilling with 100% filled tanks at a reasonable cost. See Bob Monday through Friday, 10 to 4, and Saturday, 9 to 3 at Gessler Propane, 702 Youngstown Poland Road, Struthers, or call 330-755-9119. Gessler Propane. They got gas.
Located in Applewood Estates in Boardman Township, the Applewood Swim and Tennis Club offers a pleasant family environment. Choose a membership that meets your needs and enjoy a relaxing venue that includes not only swimming for the family, but also youth activities such as competitive swimming, tennis, and more. Enjoy the friendly atmosphere all summer long with the staff and members of the Applewood Swim and Tennis Club. For more information, go to applewoodswimandtennis.com or call 330-953-2833.
Sandrock Concrete specializes in all types of concrete, driveways, sidewalks, basements, and garages. We also do stamp-colored concrete in many different designs. We do interior and exterior stonework, regular brick and block work. Sandrock Concrete is fully insured. Call Jerry Sandrock at 330-506-0013 for an estimate. Also find them on Facebook at Sandrock Concrete LLC. Sandrock Concrete, where you deal with the owner all the time.
Hello, Kubo. What have you got planned for today?
Come on, this way.
Adventure can be found anywhere, but the best place to start is in the forest.
It's the most powerful magic there is.
Head outside to discover incredible animals.
Wow.
And beautiful plants that come together to create an unforgettable adventure. So grab your loved ones and explore a world of possibilities. Visit discovertheforest.org to find the closest forest or park to you. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the U.S. Forest Service.
My teacher said that we should have a plan in case of an emergency. Do we have one?
First thing I'm gonna do is grab a flashlight with dead batteries.
I'm going to start randomly throwing clothes in the bag. You two will be hiding in the closet and Dad won't be able to find you.
And that's when we both start crying.
Uncontrollably. Can you pass the cutlets?
Winging it is not an emergency plan. Make sure your kids know what to do during an emergency, who to call, where to meet, what to pack. Search Ready Kids at nyc.gov or call 311. Brought to you by the New York City Office of Emergency Management and the Ad Council.
Miss an episode of By All Means, and you could miss a lot.
To the radio play-by-play voice and our buddy back from here at Youngstown, it is the voice Fitz. Everett Fitzhugh, my friend, how are you?
Man, it feels good to hear your voice again, Mark. Everything's going well, and definitely excited to be back on the airwaves briefly for here in Youngstown.
By All Means, Tuesdays at 5, right here on Western Reserve Radio and streaming live on westernreserveradio.com.
You're listening to Western Reserve Radio at westernreserveradio.com on the Live 365 network and the Live 365 app.
Right back here on By All Means on Western Reserve Radio, continuing to talk to our Valley High School football coaches as we lead up to the kickoff of the season on August 17th. We go to the phones, and Andy Hake joins us, the head coach of the Valley Christian Eagles. Coach, how are you?
Hey, how you doing? Nice to hear from you guys. Nice to be on the show. How's everything going?
We are great, Coach. How is everything with your team going?
Well, we're on the south side here at Old South High. We're practicing. We're trying to get ready for the season. It's coming up on us fast, so we got no time to waste.
Coach, how do you build on last year's success of, being undefeated in the regular season, winning a conference championship, winning a playoff game? How do you kind of continue that momentum into this season?
Just talk to the kids about, the success of the team last year and what got us there, hard work, being dedicated to the cause, being good to the kids, being empathetic and sympathetic to a lot of the situations. Kids growing up in the city, and the kids are with us, and because of that, I think they're going to give us 110%. And I'm just blessed to be here and blessed to have great coaches and have these kids. And hey, every day's a struggle, man. I don't know what to say. I've been coaching 20 some years, and every day's a struggle here in the city. So you know what? We're just going to put our best foot forward and take it as the days come. There's a lot that goes on in the city that you can't have control over as a coach, as a teacher. You just got to, you got to be reactionary and be positive with people. And I got good kids here, so when things happen, they respond properly, and I'm proud of them.
Coach, looking back on last season, Lindsey was one of my favorite running backs to watch last year, just the way he attacked the line of scrimmage. How has he improved? How has he gotten better for you going into this season?
Well, he's a real weapon. I really like focusing on the team and not individuals, but he really stands out. He sure does. He's one of the more explosive players I've ever had, and ever had the privilege to coach. And I've had great players, but he's so explosive and such a powerful runner. And he's about 5'10", 190, and his explosiveness and his cutting ability is really he got to be one of the top guys in the area. I don't know what everybody has, so I don't want to say I got the best back, and that's ego, and I don't believe in that, but I do believe I have one of the better backs in the area. And our linemen, some of our linemen being back from last year, we're getting better and better and better. I really am pleased with this group. We have to improve, though, every day. It's not every week, it's every day, because we have a lot of young kids. We only have 3 seniors on the team. And when you only have 3 seniors, you're playing a lot of young guys. Guys got to come through, but they will. They want to. They will.
Coach, speaking of young guys, how is the battle going for your starting quarterback position?
We got 3 guys competing. I could use them all. I don't know exactly what we're going to do yet, but Ike Lake is a sophomore. Dion Miller is a sophomore. And Amir Dixon's a junior. And all 3 of them possess talents. And they're all good players. We just have to, honestly, they just need reps. They need reps. And they need, with reps, you get experience. With experience, you gain confidence. So we're going to rely heavy on our line and our back the earlier year, and then as the year progresses, do a little bit more with our quarterbacks. But we have the guys. We just got to put them in the right position and give them confidence, and that just comes through experience.
Coach, stepping away from your team specifically for a moment, when you look at this season starting on the 17th of August, I've asked every coach I'm talking to this exact question. Does the season start too soon, and does it last too long?
Well, here's my first thing about all this. Taking 16 teams to the playoffs, the one thing with high school football is there's 10 games to a season. And those games are special because they're every Friday night. You have these rivalries of towns. It's different than all the other sports. And it's very physical on the kids. So, you know what? It takes away some of the mystique of some of these matchups, and the importance of weekly matchups when you let 16 teams in the playoffs. 8 was a perfect number, and it's just my opinion. I'm not the beginning and end of everything, but you asked the question. I think that you take 8 teams, you start a little bit later. When you say, hey, you got to play, was it 16 games to win the state championship?
Right.
Is that what it is? 16?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's an NFL season. That's the college football doesn't play. Does college football play 16 games? I mean,
It's a little less than that if you go to the playoff.
well, so why are the college football guys who are making money and making millions and millions and billions of dollars to university, they're playing less games? I mean, it's logic and reasoning. They're putting too much on these kids, and this all year round stuff. I understand lifting in the weight room, getting strong, but all year round it forces people. You're allowed to start in May now. I mean, come on. There comes a point when it's becoming too much, and letting 16 teams in is just a money grab. And I don't believe it's an OHSAA money grab. And I have my opinions on that too. I mean, the ticket sales, they all go to the OHSAA. They don't go to the home schools. Don't get the ticket sales. I mean, it's just unbelievable. And enough people don't speak out because the coaches have their feelings on it. Like you said, you could ask them, and some of them want to be politically correct. I've been doing it a long time. I'm not worried about a whole lot of that. I'm not saying I don't care, but I'll tell you the truth. 99% of coaches I talk to think that 16 is way too much. You're rewarding non-excellence at some point, and you're going to get kids hurt, and you're taking the mystique away from some of these important Friday matches during the season. It takes some of the importance away because you're just letting everybody in the playoffs. You should have to be 8-2 or something like that. 8-2. I don't want to say the record because there is points. There's a point system, but 5-5 doesn't get in the playoffs when there's 8 teams, unless you're playing some hellacious schedule. 5-5, 6-4 doesn't get in. I was at West Reserve. We had to go 8-2. If you weren't 8-2, you weren't getting in, and that's just how it was. So it made those Friday night matchups very important. You couldn't slip. It's not the end of the world. It's just I wish they didn't change it to that point. And I know a lot of guys feel the way I do.
And it's interesting because my thought on this is if you play a state championship that's 16 games, 2 scrimmages, and say 2 7-on-7s, you're looking at 20 games, and especially for teams that don't have big numbers or at the smaller division schools, it's hard to keep your guys healthy that long.
Well, I know this. I have 79 kids in our school. There's 79 boys that go to Valley Christian. I don't know. Whatever the competitive balance makes us play Division 6. God knows 79 puts you Division 7. They're saying that we have extra kids. I don't know. I haven't got any extra kids since I've been here. And we're D6. We're D6, and telling me that I got to play, like you're saying, all those games. Now God bless the schools that can pull it off, that have 70, 80 kids, that, the wear and tear doesn't kill them as much. But you see the same teams. I bet you at the end of this year, unless something goofy happens, Kirtland and Mary Local will be in the state championship, Division 6. Unless something happens that I don't know about, and I'm not saying that my team couldn't do it, but the odds are that, these program teams, Kirtland, Marion Local, Mogador, Coldwater, when it goes to the smaller divisions, New Bremen, you see the same people every year. And there's reasons for that. I mean, you know what I mean? It's small towns and people value and they sacrifice. But, it's very difficult, this attrition, to have all these weeks and all these games. And, high school football should be 10 games, tournament, 8 teams. Heck, I'm not against one scrimmage. You know what I mean? I'm not. Scrimmage, let's go. But, starting on the 17th, you tell me, don't you think that's a little early?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's the earliest start ever. I mean, when I was in school, only 4 teams made it to the playoffs in the early 90s,
Sure.
and it's just continued to grow from then.
And I thought 4. I think when you put 8 in, I just think that's a magic number because you see a lot of teams that are left out with 4. Used to be 2, and there was 1 that was in every region when it started it. It was, you're leaving teams out. I think 8 is the sweet spot. I truly do. 8 is the number because you look at the brackets in the regions and you say, top 8, I get it. When you say 16, you're putting a 16 team against the 1. You're asking for a lot of problems. 2 against 15. I mean, I'm just saying, there's problems where someone can get really hurt when, especially when you're talking about bigger schools, and I know there's a running clock. I know people don't want to get guys hurt and they take guys out, but even so, there's some schools that opt to take out of that tournament because they just say, we're not going to 3-7. We're not going it. I know Bob Spade at Columbiana last year said, if I make it, I'm not going. I'm just opting out. And Bob's a winner at Columbiana. He's a winner.
And
he just said, hey, I'm not going.
You know,
I'm
Coach,
not going.
I mean, you think about it. I mean, I know you don't think about it from this perspective, but like for us, the guys that broadcast games, those 1-16, 2-15 matchups, you kind of know what's going to happen going into them in most cases. And it's difficult to want to do those games.
Well, it's just then what does it come down to? What do you think it comes down to? Why do they even do that? Because
I mean, you said it. I agree with what you said. I mean,
it's a money game.
It's exactly what it is, and a lot of people are afraid to say that.
No, just call it what it is. Because if they were saying, well, half the gate goes to the teams, well, okay, but if none of the gate goes to the teams, well, who gets the money? Oh, okay. Well, then that it's a money grab. It's a money grab, and believe me, I belong to the Coaches Association. They're about sick of it. They're about sick of it. You know, and the OHSAA needs to look at themselves in the mirror and say, hey, are we really doing what's right for kids? Are we really doing? Are we a nonprofit organization that makes $5-6 million a year? A nonprofit organization makes $5-6 million a year. That's absurd. It is absurd, and that's not being mean. Freedom of speech. I'm not saying disband it. I'm saying they need to take a good look at their policies, and possibly, change. People got to change. People got to get better, and the OHSA does a good job, but at the same time, you see who gets all the money for the tournament. What are we talking about?
That's what I've always loved about talking to you, Coach. You always have told me like it is, and I respect and I appreciate that from you.
Well, and I'm not trying to down anybody. It's not trying to get people upset or down them. It's, I have respect for those guys. It's not I don't have respect for them. It's just if your team goes 10-0 and you're hosting a game, just logic and reasoning, shouldn't you get some of the gate?
Absolutely.
Hey, if the team is 16 playing the 1, that 16 team is sacrificing their sons here going out there on Friday night to entertain here. And I get it. Well, they got a chance in the tournament. Well, I understand, but shouldn't they get something to go out there and compete in a tournament that's making a lot of money? Shouldn't they get something? And if it's no, well, the OHSA needs the money. They need $10 a ticket or whatever it is.
Coach,
come on, guy. Come on, man.
I appreciate your time, Coach. We're up against a commercial break. Best of luck this season, and thank you for coming on.
God bless you. Talk to you soon.
Andy Hake, head coach of the Valley Christian Eagles, joining us here on By All Means on Western Reserve Radio. We will continue to talk to more coaches next week. We'll let you know who those are, and we mentioned it earlier. August 8th is our second annual high school football preview show. All of our experts will be chiming in and letting you know what teams to pay attention to, who some of the big games are, who some of the big matchups are. It's going to be another exciting season of high school football here in the Valley. We'll preview it Tuesday, August 8th from 5 to 7 right here as part of a supersized edition of By All Means. We'll come back and wrap things up right after this.
Golf in the Mahoning Valley starts at Mill Creek Golf Course. Mill Creek Golf Course is the host venue for the AJGA PGA Hope Program, 8 high school teams, and 2 collegiate teams. Mill Creek Golf Course is your Callaway certified golf club fitting facility. It was named the PGA of America's National Merchandiser of the Year for a public facility 2022. Book your tee time at 330-740-7112 or online at millcreekmetroparks.org.
Welcome to Calvin's Barbershop.
You all got to see this.
I don't even want to know what you're looking at on that phone.
Well, you should. I was learning about the dangers of high blood pressure and that we need to get ours checked regularly. High blood pressure can increase the risk of heart attack or stroke, but this text program can help keep it at a healthy range. Just text Barbershop to 97779 to sign up.
I'll get right on it as soon as I'm done with this baby panda video.
Text Barbershop to 97779. A message from the American Heart Association and the Ad Council.
driving has a rhythm all its own. Don't wreck it with a text. Before you get behind the wheel, silence your phone. Or better yet, designate a texter. For more text-free driving tips, visit stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
Mill Creek Golf Course is the Valley's leader for golfing fun with a practice range, short game area, and hole 55 bar and grill all on site. Mill Creek Golf Course features a friendly PGA professional staff available for instruction, along with 36 challenging holes designed by the legendary Donald Ross. Don't forget family fun night golf on Fridays and Saturdays for just $25. For details and tee times, call 330-740-7112 or go online to millcreekmetroparks.org. Miss an episode of By All Means, and you could miss a lot.
That's where it all begins, with the rich sports history that we have in the Valley. We're going to talk national, we're going to talk regional, but it all begins here at home. So that is where a lot of those topics and conversations that we have with you every Tuesday are going to come from.
By All Means, Tuesdays at 5, right here on Western Reserve Radio and streaming live on westernreserveradio.com.
Let's be real. The odds of a high school athlete getting a college scholarship and making it to the pros are pretty slim. Don't get me wrong, it's okay to dream of becoming a pro athlete, even a famous one. But that's not why I play. My reason why? I love the competition.
My reason why is community.
My reason why is leadership.
My reason why is to challenge myself.
My reason why is love for the game.
And hey, if we don't make it to the pros or onto the cover of Sports Illustrated, that's okay. Because there's every reason to believe we'll excel in something even bigger than sports. We'll excel in life.
There are lots of great reasons to play high school sports. Tell us your reason using the hashtag #MyReasonWhy.
This message presented by the NFHS and the Ohio High School Athletic Association.
You're listening to Western Reserve Radio at westernreserveradio.com on the Live 365 network and the Live 365 app.
It is time to wrap up today's edition of By All Means. Thank you to our guests today who joined us. TJ Parker, head coach of the Austintown Fitch Falcon football program, and Andy Hake, head coach of the Valley Christian Eagles, who just joined us here on By All Means. This has been episode 24 of season 4. Don't forget, we've been talking about it. And so we have Cobras football right here on Western Reserve Radio on Saturday, 6:50 airtime from Walsh University. Dave Clark and myself on the call as the Cobras are 4-3 in the Tri-Point Football League, taking on the Canton Hurricanes are 1-6. And Dave Clark and I privileged to fill in for Jim Craven and the coach Bob Gessler next week. And don't forget, coming up on August 8th, it'll be our second annual high school football preview show from 5 to 7 right here on Western Reserve Radio, a supersized edition of By All Means with all our experts chiming in. Some new people joining the staff, some familiar faces coming back, and we'll let you know about all of those on that day. Next week, we'll talk to a couple of new coaches. We'll let you know what is happening with our special September 1st broadcast between Pennsylvania's Feral Steelers and the Warren Harding Raiders. And that is going to do it for today's edition of By All Means, brought to you by Mill Creek Golf Course. We'll talk to you next Tuesday here on By All Means on Western Reserve Radio, part of the iMedia1 network.